What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? I am Rio Robinson. Thank you to Bleacher Report for bringing me on today to recap such a disappointing and dominating loss at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football last night. 26-18, 8-point game. But if you watched it, if you know, you know. Very, very, very disappointing day for the Washington offense. And we now fall to 7-4 on the season after our first 7-2 start since the 90s. A tale of two stories to be exact, because when you watch this game, going into the fourth quarter, the score was 10-6 Washington. We had managed to hold this hot Philadelphia offense to just 6 points through the first three quarters of the game. But here's the issue. Washington's offense did not have the juice last night. Our rookie boy wonder, Jaden Daniels, they had him in a blender. They had him in the Matrix, and Vic Fangio completely schemed up Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels in the Washington Commanders offense. So as we sit here on Friday, November 15th, my Washington Commanders are currently on fraud alert. All of the banter and rhetoric saying Washington hasn't beat a good team yet. Washington is dominating bad teams. All of it applies today, and there's really no comeback or retort that us Washington fans can give when it comes to that subject matter, because we just faced our biggest week of litmus tests and measuring sticks. We had a Sunday afternoon game versus a two-loss Steelers team. Lost the game in heartbreaking fashion. Then we go up to the link on Thursday Night Football with the entire world watching. You hold Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and the Eagles offense to 6 points through three quarters, and you absolutely fold in the fourth quarter of the game. While the Eagles did put up 20 in the fourth quarter, the defense did all that they could do. They did all that they could do. If you ask any team in the league, if you hold the Eagles to 6 points through three quarters, that's a game that you should win 10 times out of 10. Because while that defense is really good, 6 points at home as the favorite through three quarters to not apply any pressure offensively is a problem. And let's get to this offensive side of the ball, and let's talk about the main character of this Washington Commanders 2024 season and of the offense specifically, Jaden Daniels. He had a stinker last night. People are going to say, oh, he's not healthy. Oh, it's the ribs. Man, he's been playing through that rib stuff for the last few weeks of the season. If he's healthy enough to go out there and give it a go, we're not going to give any built-in excuses for that performance. While it was very uncharacteristic how many missed throws and how happy feet and skittish he looked, I'm going to credit the Philadelphia Eagles defense. That defense was on our ass from the opening get-go. I'm talking about a defense. Washington's offensive line has been playing top 7 to 10 football all season. This is what Washington's O-line surrendered last night. 2 sacks allowed, but if you watch, the eye test told you Jaden was uncomfortable the entire game. 12 QB hurries allowed, 14 QB pressures, 14 QB pressures allowed. PFF pass blocking grades for the Commanders O-line. Tyler Biadasz, our center, 74.3. Andrew Wiley, 63. Sam Cosmi had a pass block grade of 13. Brandon Coleman had a pass block grade of 27.4 and Nick Allegretti 16. You got 3 guys on the offensive line with a PFF grade under 30. I'm not someone who swears by PFF and pie chart analytics as the end all be all, but I do not. This is awful. Like, the quarterback was bad. The offensive line was bad. The wide receivers stank to join up. Quinyon Mitchell, rookie cornerback of the Philadelphia Eagles. He banished Terry McLaurin to the shadow realm, had a straight jacket on that boy for 60 minutes long. He had one catch for 10 yards yesterday. Look at Washington's receiving stats yesterday. You should not win a game where your leading receiver, your running back, 8 for 89. Your second leading receiver, Zach Ertz, tight end, 6 catches for 47 yards and a garbage time touchdown. Your third leading receiver is John Bates, a full-time blocking tight end too. You have to scroll down the page a few more times just to get to Washington's leading receivers. Our number one receiver, Terry McLaurin, scary, having a career pace this year with Jaden Daniel. Terry McLaurin had one catch for 10 yards. He had one more catch than I had last night, 10 more yards than me. Leading receiver number 2, Olamide Zaccheaus, one catch for 10 yards. Brian Robinson, 1 for 9. Noah Brown, 1 for 4. Diami Brown, 1 for 4. Luke McCaffrey, 0 for 0. In what world do you beat a good team, an average team, or even a bad team when your leading boundary receivers have one catch for 10 yards? Credit to Quinyon Mitchell, credit to Darius Slay, credit to Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, who caught a pick on us when the game was already out of hand, but it really put the final dagger and threw the dirt over the casket of the Commanders last night. Them boys got busy on the defensive side. The Eagles had us schemed up, and as we currently sit here on November 15th, the Cliff Kingsbury starts season hot, but he ends seasons badly. Those allegations are not being beaten on this Friday afternoon. But let's talk about Jaden Daniels some more. His numbers are a bit deceiving. 22 for 32 for 191, a touchdown and a pick. It felt like he threw for 75 yards yesterday because in the crux of the game, when we were still into it before Philly pulled away from 2 or 3 possessions later in the game, Jaden was not giving our offense a chance. He was constantly taken off his spot. He was rushing throws. He was throwing balls into the ground. He was throwing behind receivers. He was not running when there were actual lanes for him to run. He looked like a rookie, and this comes with the territory of quarterbacking in the league. Good quarterbacks have off days. Rookie quarterbacks, of course, have more than a few off days, but this is the first real stinker of the season. He didn't stink up the joint in week 1 versus Tampa, despite what outside opinion might say. He didn't stink up the joint versus Pittsburgh on Sunday, despite the fact that he didn't throw a touchdown. He had a touchdown dropped, and we had 6 drops on the day. He did miss a couple later in the game, but Jaden put the team in position to win it, and we didn't execute versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Versus Philadelphia, my guy, my franchise quarterback, my potential offensive rookie of the year, love him to death. He was a disaster last night. They made him look like an inexperienced rookie facing a daunting, dominating task that he was not ready for. He looked like he was given all the wrong answers to the test. Like he was in study guide. He got the study guide for the exact wrong test. And the Eagles, they did what they needed to do. We were dominated up front. Jalen Carter got it, was lived in the backfield for the entire day. Nolan Smith's getting some. Josh Sweat is getting some. Brandon Coleman looked like a rookie. I know they gave him a 27. What my eyes told me was Brandon Coleman was the weakest link on that offensive line yesterday. The pressure from Jaden Daniels' blind side was prevalent all day for the Eagles, and it was bad. We were never able to work into a rhythm. The only player on the offense that I will give any sort of positive grade is Brian Robinson, who fought through his hamstring injury, gave us 63 yards and a touchdown early. The only touchdown we scored why this game was competitive, because don't get it twisted, that last 8 points that Washington scored was in garbage time, down 16 in the final 2 minutes of the game. This was just not a winning formula for Washington, unfortunately, man. Just going back to it, just so you guys can see it with your own eyes. Look at the leading receivers here. You got to go down 4 people just to get to Terry McLaurin. Like, this is bad. Our receivers, 1 for 10, 1 for 10, 1 for 10, 0 for 0, 1 for 4. A blocking tight end was our wide receiver 3 yesterday. In what world is that going to win you a game? But let's jump over to the defensive side of the ball, because at least there were some bright spots in that game yesterday. I'm not an excuse maker. I'm not a silver linings moral victory kind of guy. I'm not going to find too much the moral victory about this game, because we got our asses handed to us in Philadelphia last night. But our defense kept us in this game for 3.5 quarters. Jeremy Chin, for the 3rd week in a row, had 13 total tackles yesterday. Frankie Louvu had 10 tackles and 2 sacks. Frankie Louvu is up to 7 sacks on the season as a part-time edge rusher. He is an off-ball backer that we use, and we Swiss Army knife around the defense. Those 2 guys went crazy. Another guy I'd like to give a game ball to, Missile Mikey Sainristil. He was the best rookie on the field for the Washington Commanders yesterday. Despite the fact that we drafted him to be a 5'9", 175-pound slot corner, they had him on the outside running the one-on-one fade with A.J. Brown, a 6'4", 230-pound receiver. Mikey held his own on the outside as a rookie slot corner with A.J. Brown for the majority of the day. Because as I look at Philadelphia's offensive stats, they ended up getting theirs later down the line, but 5 catches for 65 yards and no touchdowns. A majority of the day, A.J. Brown was not a factor. Devontae Smith was not a factor. 4 catches for 29 yards. We held this team for as long as we could. This is one of the best put together offenses in the league. This is one of the high potent scoring. You've seen what they've done. So when they get going, there's not too much you could do. 45 minutes of 2 field goal football is what our defense held to. And eventually they folded and they wilted away, because nobody can hold a good offense for 60 minutes. This is not the 85 Bears. This is not the 2000 Ravens. This is not the Legion of Boom Seattle Seahawks. Expecting this defense to hold for another quarter while the offense left them stranded in the middle of the ocean is unfair expectation. These guys gave us a chance to win the game, and the offense dropped the ball. Turning points in this football game yesterday. Washington had a drive down 12-10 in the 4th quarter, down 2 after the Eagles had just scored and missed an extra point. So down by less than a field goal, we had a 3-play stanza as followed. Brian Robinson, lost of a yard. No gain, and then on 4th down, the biggest decision of the game. I'm not going to hold you. We're the best 4th down team in football through 11 weeks. So I totally get the rationale of going forward on 4th down. The offense had been anemic the entire day. You're putting together your best sustained drive and momentum that we had seen thus far in the game. I totally understand the thinking on 4th and 2 in Philadelphia territory with 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. I totally get the thinking of bypassing a field goal from Zane Gonzalez and going for it on 4th and 2. Here's my issue. What in the absolute hell was that play call? It looked discombobulated. It looked like guys were not on the same page. It looked like Jaden was prepared for a delayed handoff or some sort of play action where the tackle ends up running into Jaden. He bobbles the damn snap. The running back is going in the opposite direction as the handoff or play action was coming towards him, and Jaden just has to bootleg to the right side It was a cataclysmic disaster from the start. It looked like they drew a play up in the sand, and it most certainly did not work. I understand you attacking success. I understand you feeling like the Eagles offense is getting it going. We got to score a touchdown here. Here's the thing. You didn't get it. And for the second week in a row, after starting the season 11 for 11 on fourth down, we've not converted our last two in the most critical crunch time spots of the game. And instead of taking 3 points there to go up one and to have a chance, even if the Eagles scored a touchdown, it would have been 19-13, and you would have had a chance to drive for the win afterwards. I get the ideology of going forward on fourth down. I get it. And if you're watching my live stream on YouTube during the game, I said I would go for it here because we are absolutely cooked if we don't score any points here. But if that's the play call you got drawn up on fourth down, Clifford, Kingsbury, that was not it. For whatever reason it is, since the early portion of the season, Washington's offense is no longer capable of running a screen pass at all. Our screen game is dead. It's obsolete. It's dead on arrival. Every screen we've run has been sniffed out, and Washington was forced into being a one-dimensional offense last night versus the Eagles, and we didn't even have one dimension if you're keeping it honest. The yard disparity. The Eagles ended up putting up 434 yards of offense to Washington's 264. I promise you, it didn't even look like we put up 264 yards of offense yesterday. 171 to 206 passing yard. We ran for 93. They ran for 228 yards. Saquon went buck wild in the fourth quarter of that game yesterday. After holding that team for so long, Hurts ends up getting the 221 yards on the day, 10 incompletion. Saquon, 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. They let Saquon run them into the promised land in the fourth quarter of that game yesterday. They didn't go for any fourth downs. Washington went 1 for 2. We didn't take advantage of opportunities. Jake Elliott, Philadelphia Eagles kicker, he shanked 2 field goals to the left and missed an extra point. Walking into a fourth quarter up 10-6 on the Eagles and eventually being down 26-10 is the most Washington of the past outcome I could have ever seen. Like it's a world where it feels like only Washington could have been put in that situation. And what this game does is it serves us up a bit of humility, some humble pie, and the harsh reality of you're doing well, you've arrived earlier than scheduled, but you're not ready for this yet. You're not ready for the bright lights yet. You're not ready for the showtime. And in a world where Jaden Daniels has an off day, your team can't survive that. Your team cannot win a football game unless Five got his secret stuff going. If Five does not have the juice, Washington looks like a very bad offense. And games like last night go to show you. All year I've been saying, yes, we need a cornerback. We need Marshawn Lattimore out there. But just as bad, we need a second receiver that can make a play. Because if teams sell out for Terry McLaurin, what the hell does the offense do? What the hell does the offense do on days where Terry gets banished to an asylum? Quinyon Mitchell did not give Terry any chance to get anything off versus that defense last night. He did the same thing to Jamar Chase. He is having a Pro Bowl, damn near all-pro type rookie season. If he didn't drop 4 to 5 interceptions this year, first team all-pro on some Sauce Gardner stuff would be the conversation people are having. Respect to Quinyon Mitchell. Respect to Cooper DeJean. The Philadelphia Eagles linebackers, they were coming downhill. They were making plays. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. They didn't blitz us crazy, but when they did send it, it was always effective. Nothing was on schedule for us yesterday. Everything, the timing was off. Everything was almost a disaster from the second Jaden Daniels was taking the snap last night. We got completely bamboozled last night. We were dumbfounded. We were stopped in our tracks from the opening whistle. There were at least 3 drives where we 3-and-outed faster than you could go to your kitchen and grab another beer. Philadelphia moves on to 8-2, and they may have the NFC East sewn up because based on what I saw last night, while we're definitely a considerably better team this year, we're not on that level yet. We're not ready for the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles of the world. We're not ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers of the world, because while we can hold our head and say, oh, 1 possession losses to some of the best teams in the league, that's not good enough, and that's not going to take you to the next level. Is the season over, though? Absolutely not. This is a Washington team currently sitting at the 7th wild card spot. Wow, how life comes at you fast. You're sitting at 7-2, top 5 in a lot of league power rankings, 2nd in the NFC. All of a sudden, through a 4-day span, you take a loss at home to the Steelers. You take a loss up at the Link in Philadelphia. You're sitting at 7-4, and all of a sudden, you're in the final wild card spot. And maybe this is a good thing, because our season was off to such a Hallmark Christmas in July type of start. Everything was going right for this team this year. 7-2 is the best possible start for a team with 24 new players, 14 new starters, including 4 rookie starters, a rookie quarterback, a rookie GM, new everything, and the first build of the Josh Harris ownership group. We have now hit adversity, and every team goes through it. We're going to find out a lot about this Washington team over these next 6 games of the season. You got 2 games versus Dallas, home and away. You host the Philadelphia Eagles. You host you host the Tennessee Titans. You go up to New Orleans and play the New Orleans Saints, and you host the Atlanta Falcons. 6 games left. 4 wins gets you 11 wins for the first time since 1991, and my eye is still on the prize. I still want it. I was born in 1991. I've never once in my life seen Washington win 11 games. So that's still out there. Are they going to wilt away, fold, and let this back-to-back losing streak tank our season? Are we going to go out next week at home and stink it up versus Cooper Rush, Trey Lance, and the Dallas Cowboys? Or are we going to get back to business? Are we going to get back to regularly scheduled programming and get our offense moving again? Because our offense has been stymied over the last couple weeks. And I know the easy thing to say is Jaden Daniels is being hampered by his rib injury. I think the guys we have running the program now, they would not have Jaden Daniels on that football field if he wasn't healthy enough to go. So if he's healthy enough to go, and I've seen him throw a 65-yard Hail Mary with those same ribs. I've seen it. So if he's going to go, we got to hold him accountable like we hold the rest of the team accountable. Just like we say, the receivers were trash last night. The offensive line was trash last night. Our leader was trash last night, and that's okay. You just got to admit it sometime. The quarterback did not give the team a chance to win the game yesterday. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's our franchise quarterback. We are good to go, and I still think we're going to make the playoffs this year. I still think we're going to win 11 games this year. But right now, what we cannot do as Washington fans is we cannot debate, dispute, or retort the claims that Washington is a fraud, because we look real fraudish in 4K right now. We looked real fraudish for the whole world to see versus a good Philadelphia Eagles team where record-wise, we looked like we were on the same page as them. But when it all came down to it, when that defense unleashed the hounds at us yesterday, we didn't stand a chance, and our rookie looked shook. He looked like a rookie. Our offensive line had no answer for what was coming in front of them. Our receivers are on milk cartons on this Friday afternoon, and it is Misery Friday in Washington Commander land, man. 26-18, but you really would have had to watch the game to truly understand what took place. And the next question is, where does Washington go from here? We suffer from getting one of the NFL's latest bye weeks in back-to-back years. We don't get our bye week till week 14 after we played the Tennessee Titans. The Eagles came off their bye week smoking. For a lot of teams, that bye week is needed. You need a week off, rest some bodies, reset, get your head right. I don't know what Jaden needs to do over this next week because Dallas can get after the quarterback too, but load in that Dallas tape in the VR and let's get back to business and let's get our timing back. Let's get our touch timing and anticipation back because the Eagles did not let him get none of his superpowers were completely neutralized at Lincoln Financial last night. And Washington is going to have to show how they manage adversity coming off back-to-back losses for the first time all year. Our losses had so much space between them. We lost week 1. We didn't lose again till a month and some change later versus the Baltimore Ravens. And then our next loss didn't happen till about a month after that. And then we take back-to-back shellackings by very good defenses, and we take our first divisional loss of the season to the Philadelphia Eagles. As much as I hate the Eagles, I hate their fans, I'm going to tip my cap to them today, and I'm going to put all respect on that Philadelphia Eagles defense, even the Philadelphia offense, because while we had them shut down for 3 quarters, they woke up in the fourth. We gave up 20 points in the fourth quarter. If you turned off the game after the third quarter yesterday, where the score was 10-6, you would have had to wipe the crust out of your eyes and look at the screen again when you see that the final score was 26-18. Like, damn, where the hell did all that scoring come from? Because it was 10-6 going into the fourth quarter. But championship pedigree teams, they find a way to pull it out in the long run. And the Philadelphia Eagles right now, they are that. And Washington looks like we got a lot of steps to go till we are on that level. But it is what it is. Washington has Dallas on the 24th. This is the closest to a bye week Washington's had all season. You know, when you play on Thursday night on a short week, it's like a mini bye. You get 10 days to get ready for your next opponent, get your head right, get your body right, and to get back after it. I don't know, man, but the season's not over. The season's not over. Jaden Daniels is still him. He's still going to win Rookie of the Year. He's still our guy at the helm. Terry's still having a career year. Brian Robinson's back, and when B-Rob is back, our offense usually looks different. But Philly had all the answers to the test, and they had us shook on Thursday Night Football. I'm not an excuse maker. I'm not a moral victory, silver linings kind of guy. Sometimes you just get your ass handed to you, and mama told us there were going to be days like this. So 26-18, 7-4, the fall from grace during this week from the second seed in the NFC to now second place in the NFC East and the 7th seed of the playoff picture of the NFC race, while the Eagles are soaring high at 8-2, a half a game back from the Detroit Lions for the number 1 seed in the entire conference. But keep your head up, Washington Commanders Nation. Keep your head up. Poke your chest out. We're going to bounce back from this. The season is not over. I still see the playoffs in our sight. I still see a potential 11-win season for the first time in 33 years, back to my birth year since we've done so. Like I said, you get Dallas twice, you get the Titans, you get the Saints, you get the Falcons, and you get the Eagles one more again at Northwest Stadium. You get them at home next time. The Eagles might have shown you that there will be no competition for the NFC East race, but there's still more football to be played, and life goes on even when you lose. And you got to see how the team is able to manage adversity. We're going to find out a lot about this team over the next 6 weeks of this season. That is my time for today. It's always hail to the Washington Commanders, burgundy and gold, everything. It's my squad until the death of me. Until next time, Commander Rio out. Thank you to Bleacher Report for having me on today. Let's get it in, baby.